Fantastic. So we'll wait for some time. Hello, Himali. How are you?
Hey, Gurudev. I'm good. Thank you. How are you, Swamiji?
And here is Julia. Hi, Julia. How are you? Great. So I can see our doctor is also there, right? Dr. Charu is also there. She has joined in the name of welcome.
Swamiji, just for a second. A la gente que habla español pueden buscar la traducción en el canal de traducción en español. Ya está arreglado. Miriam, podés chequear que probablemente estás apretando mal algún botón. Te escribo por privado, porque todos estamos escuchando bien. Sí, Gurudev.
So how is everybody doing? All good? So we have a special guest today, a super specialized doctor, because this is our 20th session. So a super specialist cardiologist is also going to join, but not as the uh, you know main doctor today. He's just going to join and be with us.
So here we have Dr. Charu Swamiji. She's here.
Yes,
Can you
she's
see her?
there. She's there. I can see. We are just waiting for some more people to join. Hello, who is this? Dr. Neela, if you are there, if you have already joined, please come on the screen. Who is this with Natty? Who is that? Hello. And who is this with Josephina? So we have, I would like to tell Dr. Charu, we have our moderator, Himali is there. Himali has joined from Africa and she's our moderator in every session and she'll conduct the session. And if you can hear me, Nilay, please come on the screen. Yes, I know. Charu, you have a presentation, right? Yeah, yeah. Dr. Charu has a presentation. Yes, Himali. So Himali, we move now. Let's
Thank
start.
you. Great. Good evening, everybody. I hope you're all doing well. Welcome to this evening's session of Flip the Idea with Swami Shivpad. Joining us today is Dr. Charu Arora to discuss fungal infections and its implications post-COVID. Before I introduce Dr. Arora, I would like to make a special mention that today also marks our 20th session in which we have had numerous topics being discussed with a diverse group of specialist doctors. Joining us this evening is Dr. Nile as our special guest. We've had him with us for a few sessions, and he is a specialist in cardiology and one who has a wealth of knowledge based on his love for research. Our guest this evening is Dr. Charu Arora. She's not only a consultant, but also the Secretary of Infection Control and Head of Clinical Microbiology and CSSD. She's received her MD in microbiology from Dayanand Medical School in Punjab. Her special interests include mycology, virology, and bacteriology, hospital infection prevention to reduce hospital-acquired infections, establishing antibiotic policies for hospitals. So without greater ado, welcome this evening, Dr. Arora, and we're grateful to have you join us. Thank you.
A very good evening to everyone. Thank you so much for this session. I'm really grateful and thankful to Swamiji for this session. Firstly, I would like to discuss about something about COVID part. Since COVID was a huge numbers, we said ki it is gone, it has decreased numbers, reduced the numbers. But post-COVID infections, they are very common. They have become a huge impact. They have given a huge impact. We are saying this is fungus is new, but these are not new fungus. Earlier also they were there in mainly in cancer patients, in transplant patients. These fungus were already present.
Sorry, Dr. Charu.
But now, yeah.
Sorry. I'm extremely sorry. They're translating in a couple of languages. So if you go slow, then it'll be easy for them to translate. Thank you.
Okay. So I would like to start with the post-COVID infections. Fungal infections, they are not newer ones. Earlier also, these fungal infections, they were there, but only in transplant patients, immunocompromised patients. Now, why we have seen them in COVID only? Because that your immune system, it has been suppressed due to lot number of antibiotics, your corticosteroids we have given to the patients, immunomodulators we have given to prevent the infection, spread of infection.
So, Dr. Charu, I have a basic question. What is a fungus?
It is basically present everywhere in the environment. It is surrounding us only. It is basically how we differentiate in our microbiology terms with the bacteria and other one. They do not have a cell wall, a proper cell wall. We can easily penetrate it. But since if you have a good immune system, you will not get infected. Only in cases if you have suppressed immune system, then only you will get infected. That's why it was seen most of the time in post-COVID. It was named as it with various names: black fungus, white fungus, yellow fungus, and recently one case was there for orange fungus also.
So my question is that how come this fungal infection is different? It's separate from viral and bacterial or parasite infection. What exactly happens when you get a fungal infection?
Basically, when we get a fungal infection, it is most of the time it is asymptomatic. It becomes symptomatic on a later stage. Like in case of black fungus, you get to know infection in a very late stage when there is visible necrotic tissue. It is misnomer term for us in microbiology because it is not a black fungus. It is white color, in a white color, but it becomes black and the part of the skin part that becomes necrosed. That tissue part, it becomes necrosis. So we see clear label it as black fungus. And when it is visible, you have to just remove that tissue. You cannot do anything of that part. You can only prevent the spread of infection. That's why it is more serious and it has more of morbidity and mortality.
So
whereas in bacterial part, yeah.
A basic understanding, how do you differentiate?
In bacterial, yeah.
Sorry. Please continue.
No, it's okay. Yeah. In bacterial, it is different from bacteria because in bacterial infection, you can prevent infection. You can normalize that tissue part, but not in fungus. It has gone, that part is being necrosed, you have to remove it.
So you mean to say if there is a bacterial infection, we can repair that tissue, but if there is a fungal infection, we have to remove that tissue.
Yeah.
Okay. And
Yeah.
how do you diagnose? Like, what is the process that it's a fungal infection or bacterial infection or viral infection without doing any other test? Like, what are the symptoms of fungal infections?
It is very difficult to diagnose. Firstly, you need to know the basics things. The only doctor can rule out whether it is fungal or it is bacterial. You have to do, for in black fungus, there was we have one major nasal endoscopy we were doing. Why? Because most common is rhinocerebral mucormycosis. But in rhinocerebral, you have to do nasal endoscopy and you have to take the nasal tissue. While doing the endoscopy part, you see sinuses and everything, it is clear. If only you see black eschar part, tissue is being necrosed, then only you will able to diagnose it is a black fungus. Early diagnosis is not possible in that case.
I'm talking about in general fungal infection. Before I give it to Himali to ask
In
question. So in general fungal infections, like, is there a symptomatic thing when you go to a doctor? Before you go to the doctor, you can diagnose yourself. You can identify yourself. Is it a fungal infection, bacterial
it's
infection?
very difficult. It's very difficult to diagnose. That's what we will discuss right now. There are many types of fungus, whether it is superficial, subcutaneous. It is very difficult to diagnose it is bacterial or fungal. Only doctor can rule out that part, because there is whitening, some whitening of the discharge part there is there on the nails, on fingertips, in superficial cases, in deep subcutaneous. Everything is, it sometimes, like for example, we have one, I'll be discussing one case of chromoblastomycosis. It looks like elephantiasis. It is very common bacterial infection, but it comes rules out to be a fungal. It is slow growing process. Bacterial infection, in within 2-3 days, it becomes severe. But in fungal, it is very slow growing. It will become severe only after months. That is only way you can suspect that it might be fungal, that it is not growing. It is slowly progressing.
And another question, like viruses, they have certain kind of intelligence, like they do mutation, and we see the mutant viruses. Bacteria also have certain kind of intelligence, like the bacteria also can mutate. But is there anything like that in fungus? The fungus are
No, it's
also
not.
intelligent?
Fungus doesn't have any RNA of themselves that they mutate. They do not have RNA part or DNA parts.
Okay. So back to goes to Himali. Please, Himali, please continue.
Thank you, Swamiji. Dr. Arora, you mentioned black fungus, white, yellow, and now a possibility of orange. How does one differentiate between those, and which is more severe um, in terms of, like you say, black fungus, there's only the option of removal. So what is white fungus, orange fungus, and yellow fungus?
White fungus is basically candidal infection, what we name as advice fungus, candidal infection. All these fungus, these are all caused only in immunocompromised situations. When your immune system is suppressed, then only you will be getting, whether it is white fungus, it is black fungus, or aspergillus infection, any fungal infection, you will be getting by that only if your immune system is suppressed. White fungus is candidal infection basically, and it is very common. It is the most earlier, before black fungus, it was very common hospital acquired infection in the hospitals.
Okay. And what is yellow fungus and the new discovery of orange fungus?
These are all types of black fungus only. It is a huge term, zygomycosis. The fungus color, it differentiates. The most common one is black fungus is mucormycosis, mucor and rhizomucor. Whereas in that another 2-3 types are there, which are orange fungus and your yellow fungus. They are different just on the basis of their morphological colors. Rest everything is same. They are also
So
same invasive.
would it be correct to say you can start with the white fungus, and if left untreated, you could end up with black fungus? Is that correct?
Yes.
Or not?
Yes, it can be there, because white fungus is also caused when your immune system is suppressed. If you will not treat it, then obviously you will have more of immune system, your suppression. You may get any other infection, and you can get black fungus. It is not that we do not get.
Okay. What causes fungal infections? I know you say that when your system is immunocompromised, but at what point does it become obvious that you have a fungal infection? Like, what are the signs of an infection?
For every fungus, there is a different sign and symptom. For example, for mucormycosis, black fungus, it was basically type of fungus. Types, it has different 6 types, clinical types. Most common one is rhinocerebral. In rhinocerebral, you have a facial pain, you'll have a throat pain. You will basically, you will not be able to sneeze also properly. Blurring of vision can also happen in black fungus. It is the rhinocerebral. If you have a pulmonary infection, it has a very basic vague features. You'll have a chest pain in pulmonary mucormycosis. In cutaneous one, you'll have just a itching part. Every on different parts, body part, skin, how much invasion it has gone, which fungus is there, different signs and symptoms are there.
And how does one get a fungal infection? Is it picked up from the environment? Is it something
Yes.
within the body? How do you pick up a fungal infection?
Fungal, we all are surrounded by fungus. We have in our environment every kind of fungus we have in our environment. If we have immune system weak, we are on steroids, we have went through immunotransplant, any renal transplants are there, you are cancer patient, chemotherapies are going on, any of the diabetic patients, severely diabetic past, you have diabetic ketoacidosis. In those cases, you have very low immune system. In those cases, you'll get the infection. Then only you'll be able to catch. Otherwise, if you have a good immune system, then you will not be able to.
Okay. And then, the one thing that a lot of people are talking about now is obviously the black fungus and its relation to COVID. And we did have a touch of this in our last week's session with regards to whether you pick this up because or as a result of COVID or because of a very immunocompromised system and its impact on the body. Can you please emphasize more on black fungus?
Shall I start with the presentation part? Or
that will be fantastic. Yes, thank you.
Please make it full screen.
Yeah, just a second.
Anju, please guide her how to do it full screen.
Actually, I'm new to the Zoom and meeting. I'm generally doing in Google. That's why.
So your screen is coming at this moment. You need to do slideshow. At the end, you can see a one button, right end for doing a slideshow. It's coming on the screen.
It is there, but actually
bottom down, right bottom down, there is an option called slideshow. Come down little bit.
You can see there are 2 arrows.
More down.
4 arrows like this. You click that.
Just a second.
एकदम right box, end of the right. More.
हाँ, इस पे click करो तो ये आपका slideshow हो गया. And the another option is to have a pointer. आप right click करोगे तो एक option आएगा pointer पे, आपने जो point को highlight करना है आप उसको दिखा सकते हो. आप देखिए सबसे नीचे pointer option आ रहा है, उस पे आप click कीजिए. आप इस पे अब laser pointer पे click कीजिए.
Okay.
हाँ जी, अब आप दिखा सकते.
ठीक है. Thank you so much. So fungi, they are basically present everywhere. They are too small to be seen with the naked eye. They live in outdoors, in soils, on in plants, indoors surfaces, and in the air, on people's skin. Inside body, it is basically the good fungi are there. There are million of fungal species, but only few hundred of them can make people sick. There are basically two types: molds and yeasts. Mushrooms are also there are also types of fungi. They may cause different types of illnesses like asthma, allergies. Mainly the aspergillus, it is also a type of fungus which causes more of the asthma and allergies. Rashes or skin infections on skin and nails. This basically superficial fungus is there which causes more of rashes. Lung infections, pneumonia, bloodstream infections, and meningitis. The most common fungal infections which were before COVID started, it was mainly nail infections, ringworms, vaginal candidiasis, candidal infection. The white fungus, what they are calling nowadays is candidal infection only. It was common earlier also, but now it has come as with the more of the name because of COVID. Fungal diseases that affect people who live or travel into certain, these are the basically dimorphic fungi. They are endemic. They do not occur in everyone, but in certain countries where the more of the this disease was present earlier also, they might get after post COVID these infections. They may affect with basically they are in fact affect people with weakened immune systems only. They can fight off infections as well due to conditions such as HIV, cancer, organ transplants. Other diseases and health problems caused by fungi, fungal infection, mycetomas, porotrichosis. Who gets fungal infections? Anyone can get fungal infection, even people who are otherwise healthy also. But fungi are common in an environment and people breathe in or come in contact with fungal spores every day without getting sick. However, in people with weak immune system, these are more likely to cause an infection. Predisposing factors, these are the major thing that we are observing in COVID people. Widespread use of broad spectrum antibiotics in COVID. There has been a huge use of antibiotics, different antibiotics to prevent the other certain infections, lung infections. There was pneumonia in the COVID. To prevent that to spread, we have to save lungs. For that, we have done the huge use of antibiotics. Prolonged use of steroids. There's if more than 3 weeks, people in COVID usually they have been hospitalized for 1 month, 2 months. Many people were there. Increased use of IV drug abuse, greater number of immunocompromised patients, more aggressive treatment modalities of cancer, more aggressive intensive care medicine, new and more widely used prosthetic devices. This is the classification: superficial, cutaneous, subcutaneous, systemic, and opportunistic. Your black fungus, white fungus, these are all opportunistic mycosis, opportunistic fungus. We'll start with the superficial one. This is the very before the and just if anybody wants to skip these part, kindly let me know.
No, please continue.
This is the superficial fungus, Pityriasis versicolor. This is very common. We see these kind of lesions on our skin and we think it is just an itching and nothing else, but it is a type of fungus. If you'll not get cured, it is because of heat, malnutrition, humidity, and excessive sweating it is caused. We always think that it is just because allergic part, it is nothing else, but it is a fungal infection. Second, seborrheic dermatitis. It is common inflammatory disorder of skin. It is erythema covered with white, greasy look, loose flakes. We see these kind of reddish lesions over here. For example, dandruff also. We all have heard that there is scalp scaling, dandruff in these time periods. It is also a fungal infection. That's why we always refer to skin specialists. They give us antifungal shampoos. Tinea nigra. So in some patients, we think that this is just a in mole part, that it is just a your birthmark or something, but sometimes it is not birthmark if it is not from the birth. If after it later on in the later after period of your Like if you get these kind of infections, it is also a fungal infection. This is called as Tinea nigra. It is very uncommon. It occurs in generally immunocompromised patients. It is also known as, earlier it was known as black fungus, but now we have labeled zygomycosis mucor as black fungus. Pedra. Pedra is also, it is of two types, white pedra and black pedra. This is superficial infection of hair shaft of the hairs. This one. This is black pedra, black pigmentation, and this is white pedra, white pigmentation on hairs. We generally think that it is just a part of our scalp that we have got on the hairs, but it is also a fungal infection. You will feel too much itchy in this. This is characterized by soft, white, grayish, or light brown nodules on hair shaft. Next, the most common superficial infection is dermatophytosis. It is the nail infection caused on toenails. The nails become discolored, thick, unlikely to break, crack, and break. Nails they are discolored. It is also known as athlete's foot. This one, it is discolored, yellowish pigmentation is there. The whole nail has been destroyed. This whitish part, this is athlete's foot. Ringworm infection. This is very common. I guess everybody must be knowing about it. This is itchy, reddish. The ring is formed on the skin, whole ring. Areas that can be affected include feet, groin, scalp, beard, hands. They are named as per the parts of the body parts. Feet, on feet you feel itchy, swollen. It will be peeling of the skin will be there. Scalp, on scalp also we can see the rings are formed. The whole ring is there on the skin. This is all fungal infection, dermatophytes. Groin, jock itch, it is named as. On beard, it is Tinea barbae. You have a whole ring is formed. These are different types of ringworms, but with different names, but everywhere ring is formed. Generally, people do not able to differentiate with the Pityriasis versicolor. Treatment is always different for all fungi, but they look similar. In fact, in some bacterial infections also, they look similar. Prevention is that you keep your hands and feet clean and dry, clip your nails and toenails short and keep them clean. Don't walk barefoot, don't share nail clippers with other people. Generally, we visit a nail salon, there we are using manicures and pedicures. In that, they do not sometimes clean nail clippers, scissors after use. We kindly ask them to sterilize those instruments. Subcutaneous mycosis. It is usually caused by trivial trauma of the body part. Most common is mycetoma. It is also known as Madura foot. It was first found in Madurai in India, and it has a basically triad of infection: tumor-like formation of multiple drainage sinuses, oozing or granules. We generally think it is bacterial. It is slowly progressing. First, this was the earlier stage when the patient got the infection, and after 1 month, this situation happened. If it would have been bacterial, then within 3 or 4 days only this situation would have been there. Sporotrichosis. This is called rose gardener's disease. Those who are doing rose gardening, those people, they do not use gloves, and sometimes they get these kind of infections. Chromoplastomycosis. The name only says it is colored fungal infection. It is basically causes fungal skin and subcutaneous tissue. It affects middle-aged people. This is the picture of the chromoplastomycosis. After trauma, these kind of things happen in fungus after a long time. 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. It leads to elephantiasis of legs. If it occurs within 1 week time, then we'll say it is bacterial. That is elephantiasis. But if it is taking long term, then it is slowly developing. Then it is fungal infection. Hyphomycosis. It is also subcutaneous infection. In this, there is nodule inside. It can be invasive sometimes. Lobomycosis. These are rare fungal infections, and
If anyone
This
is
is
not
on,
comfortable with the pictures, please avoid the pictures. If anyone is not comfortable with the pictures, please avoid the pictures. Yes,
these are
doctor.
basically,
Yeah.
yeah, these are basically just to know that what kind of fungal infections are there. Next is systemic mycosis. These mycosis, these four, histoplasmosis, blastococcidio, paracoccidio, these fungal infections are not common overall in all over the country, all over the world. Only in some endemic parts, like in some countries, only these kind of infections are present. And these all fungi, they are all immunocompromised infections. Major part is opportunistic infection. These are infections which are found in patients with underlying predisposing conditions. They are non-pathogenic in nature and become pathogenic in certain circumstances like cancer, leukemia, immunosuppressive therapy, AIDS. They are important cause of high level of morbidity and mortality in hospitalized patients. Zygomycosis, which we are saying as black fungus, labeling as, it is also known as mucormycosis. It is a whole broad name. It is acute or chronic infection caused by several fungal agents. These are saprophytic fungi. They're found ubiquitously in environment. The major cause that neutrophils, they play a major role in defense of host from infection caused by zygomycetes. If you have normal, why we are not getting, this is the major cause. In COVID, we are saying that neutrophils count, neutropenia, we are getting neutrophil count is decreasing on a whole lot numbers. If it is normal is 60 to 70, then we are getting lesser 20, 30 neutrophils. In that case also, they are not able to fight with the zygomyces fungal. So we are getting the infection. In hosts with diabetes mellitus, that further lead to diabetic ketoacidosis, further other underlying factors, monocytes or macrophages. They are dysfunction and fail to suppress spore germination process. They lead to vascular invasion causing thrombosis and function leading to necrosis of affected tissue. This is the fungus. This is the whole swelling in rhinocerebral zygomycosis. This is the orbital swelling we are getting. And after, if it is not treated on the first stage only, if we are not removing all the orbital part, then this happens within a week's time. This whole blackening, necrosis, this extra part. Now they have to remove whole part this much. There are 6 clinical categories. Rhinocerebral, which is most common, it is fatal, may lead to fatal consequences within week if left untreated. Facial pain, headache, lethargy, and it is fatal due to cerebral involvement. Pulmonary through inhalation.
Doctor, you are muted. Unmute, please. You are muted, Dr. Charu. Please unmute yourself.
Sorry. Next is pulmonary. Pulmonary, it is caused through inhalation of spores. Patients who are severely immunocompromised.
Sorry, Dr. Charu. I'm sorry to interrupt you. There are two things. One is that if you can just use the normal terms, because we are the normal audience, so the technical terms we may not understand. And second thing,
Okay.
if it is necessary, then you can show the pictures. Otherwise, we can just shift to the next thing. The next,
Okay. Yeah.
And
Actually, this is just the third part. Okay.
a little slow because the translation is going on in different languages.
Okay. Fine.
Sorry.
Yeah. So basically, zygomycosis is a black fungus, which we are speaking over here. It has basically 6 types. That is, rhinocerebral is your sinuses are involved. We have sinuses, facial sinuses. We go with the paranasal sinuses we have in our ethmoidal sinus. These sinuses we have above the eyes, above the nasal part, we have sinuses. In that, it causes infection. And cerebral, it spreads to the brain part. That is the rhinocerebral mucormycosis, zygomycosis, black fungus. That that is the most common one. Second is pulmonary. That is infection caused in the lungs. in lungs part, when due to spores, their fungal spores are present in the environment, due to inhalation, it gets infected. In rhinocerebral one, in which sinuses are involved, orbital swelling is there, facial pain is there. In that, there is no inhalation part. Third is cutaneous infection. Cutaneous zygomycosis fungus is caused by trauma. Any inoculation, any trauma we got on the hand, on the skin, in cases of burns, severe burns cases. In then that cases, cutaneous infection is caused. Then these three are very rare infections: gastrointestinal, renal, and disseminated. Next most common opportunistic infection is aspergillosis. It is systemic infection found in immunocompromised and immunocompetent both. Uh, before moving further, can I know if anything anybody wants to know, or in the last only question session will be there?
Yeah, the question session is there, and this part is done, I think.
Okay. And okay, so shall I continue?
You can conclude the slideshows if it is done, and then we'll carry on with the
It is
questions.
there. It is there. Yeah.
Actually, the terms are not very comfortable with everybody, because this session is more for ordinary people, not for the doctors.
Okay.
So it will be good if you can answer questions.
Yeah, sure. So we'll stop over here.
Right.
If any questions are there, let's discuss the
There are
question part.
questions. There are questions. I would request Nila to join. Dr. Nila, please join us. And you put him in spotlight, please. Hemali, you have questions, please.
Yes. The one question that I have pertains to the black fungus. So we say black fungus is primarily, it comes up because of an immunocompromised system, and hence, as post-COVID, many people get it. Why is it that it's so prevalent in India? You know, when you look at places like Italy and other parts of the world that have also had quite a bad bout of the pandemic, they don't have the increased number of patients that have ended up having black fungus. Is there any specific reason as to why it is so prevalent in India?
Yeah, definitely, because diabetic cases, diabetes mellitus infection, it is more common in India. We have more number of cases of diabetes mellitus in India, and it is one of the major cause for the black fungus to happen. More patients are going into ketoacidosis. That is the most common reason of black fungus in India, diabetes mellitus.
Is there anything that could contribute to it, say, from an environmental perspective, rather than just ailments?
Sorry?
Could there be environmental factors that contribute to the black fungus? Or is it just because of, say, for example, diet?
Environmental factors, they are not as such. It is already present in every environment. It's not just that in India it is there. It's the main reason is the disease. We have more diabetic patients in India. That's the reason main.
Okay. There's another question from Argentina. After 8 months of having COVID, are we at a risk of getting black fungus?
After 8 months, basically there are 3-4 major factors which leads to black fungus. One is we have seen that in post-COVID also, whose sugar was normal, they also had a high sugar level. So if your sugar level should be maintained, if you are not at present on neutrophil count and a load of iron, that is also leading to cause of black fungus. One of the cause, not major cause, but that is also one of the cause for the black fungus. So these 4 criterias, they are very important. You have to take care of that thing.
Okay. The other question I have is something that's it's your special interest, and that's prevention of fungal infections in hospitals. Can you talk a little bit about superbugs in hospitals and the impact, particularly, say, with people that have to be admitted into hospital because of COVID? How can they ensure that they are safeguarded from picking up superbugs or any other fungal infections?
In COVID patients, we have made sure, in every hospital has made sure that they have to be kept in a negative pressure rooms. That is one of the major cause of in hospital acquired infections prevention, that to prevent superbugs, to prevent fungal infection, the patients are in negative pressure room. If there is more of positive pressure, the environmental superbugs, they will be spreading, and your hand hygiene part, that has to be maintained. These 2-3 parts are there, which every hospital is making sure that when you are coming after post COVID, like many hospitals, they were converted into 100% COVID. In that cases, these problems are now occurring, that in non-COVID situation, when patients are coming, they do not get the any other infection, any superbug infection. How to prevent that part is more important. It is just similar that we have to define, we have to demarcate, we have to make a negative pressure creation over there.
And why would the same not apply just for, say, a normal hospital where a patient goes in, they're sick, and they come out picking up a superbug, which then affects them quite badly because it's quite difficult to control superbugs?
It is very difficult because you have number of devices also linked. If you are in ICUs, you have catheters, central lines. You have to prevent the infection from devices or from hand hygiene part. There are many more things which lead to, for fungal infections, in gloves, we are saying that they are sterile gloves, but they are powdered ones. If powdered, that powder also leads to a fungal infection if you have a very weak immune system. So it is, if you have a long stay of the in the hospitals of the patients, then it leads to superbug infection. It is very difficult to prevent them. Very difficult.
So I have two questions for both of you, Dr. Nilay and Dr. Charu. Hello, Dr. Nilay. Both the doctors, do you think this virus, COVID virus, is a human modified virus or it's a natural virus?
After you, sir.
Can you hear me, Nilay?
Unmute. Can you? Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yes.
my question is, first question is that, do you think it's a human modified, it's genetically modified or human created virus to create the Third World War, whoever created it? And the second question is there a modification can happen inside the virus that the virus can leads to secondary infection like black fungus or other infections? They programmed it in the RNA that way. So my question both to both the doctors.
This is a very tough question, naturally, because it is very difficult to say that whether it is genetically modified virus or whatever. These are all speculations. These are all so what is it called as? They are all theories. We can't for sure say that it is because to create some kind of a world war. It will not be right to say because these are all speculation theories only until proven, until we hear from the elephant's mouth. Until then, we just have to believe. But yes, one thing is for sure, this virus is unlike other viruses which have come as pandemics earlier. That is one. Second, because it is multi-system, it is thrombogenic. See, there have been viruses which can cause hemorrhagic kind of fever or something, but this is a very unique virus, that is for sure. Which is not to say that it has been created, but yes, in more ways than one, I do feel it is a unique virus because it is multi-system, it is thrombogenic. We still don't know how different people are responding to this virus. We still don't know the population in which a certain variant affects more. We are not very sure of things as yet. And I'm really being frank in saying that we are still hitting in the dark. We are still hitting in the dark. Despite we are on the verge of finishing the second wave, I do feel that we still have a lot more to know about this virus, how it behaves, or how the body responds, or how immune systems are interacting with. It's very tough to say because now we are seeing the second wave gave so much of myocarditis. The second wave gave gave us mucormycosis. The second wave gave us a lot more different kind of presentations this time around than the first wave. So it's a mutating virus, it's a changing virus. Who did it or why it was done? It's a very, very, I will now want Charu ma'am to say a few words on that.
Your question on this, that which kind of virus, let's not talk about these other things. I'll just go with the microbiological part, which is there, that this is called a SARS-CoV-2. The MERS-CoV, we have heard that came in 2009. It has 96% genetic similarity to that one, MERS-CoV. In that case, that time also the swine flu mutation was there, H1N1, H5N1, H5N9, different variants, they have a mutation in that also. So about that part, they are just doing studies only, that it is different, it is similar, there is mutation, what next. That is a very difficult part to say.
So I have a question for both the doctors. You are doctors. You are treating. You learn about everything about this virus, bacteria, and all the parasites. What makes a virus to do so rapid mutation? Like we know about the HIV, human immunovirus. There is hardly any mutation. We know about herpes simplex. Maybe I don't know, but other viruses, why don't they mutate so fast? Why this virus is so complex? Why it is so intelligent? And why this virus is creating new secondary infection every time? What do you think? Is there something programmed in it, or you think if the virus is a unique virus came from somewhere?
Firstly, this is RNA virus. So mutations in RNA viruses are very common. They predict that it might mutate or it might not. In HIV virus, it generally affects CD4 cell counts, that is T lymphocytes. Whereas in this one, this COVID virus, it is affecting neutrophils. This is polymorphonuclear cell. So differences in this case only also, that what they have technically decided, that they have discussed and derived, that this might be the difference, that it is not getting mutated HIV and this one is getting. So about mutation part, why it is getting mutated, is there's no answer for that till now.
What says from your experience? What do you think, Dr. Chal? From your experiences and from your studies, what do you think? This virus can be a human modified, genetically modified virus?
No idea, no comments, no, I don't know. Pata nahi, no idea.
Okay. Dr. Nilay, please.
Unmute Dr. Nilay.
Yeah. So even I would want to refrain from commenting whether it is it's an intentional thing or not an intentional thing, but the fact that it is there, we are facing it. We have to face it even more in a very mutated form. We will have to again face another एक अलग स्वरूप वापस से शायद हमें don't know that, and we have to just be brave and have our ways to tackle with it. Otherwise, because if someone did it, not did it, I don't know if that may change the course of the disease. It's still there, and we just have to probably deal with it. That's what I think. And as far as mutations are concerned, Swamiji, I feel that, when it's like the evolutionary thing. It wants to survive, basically. So it'll change its swarup to be again back on it. It's a fight between the good and the bad. Like, the more you try to it'll change and it'll come back again, kind of thing. In a very simple terms, I would say probably that's the reason why it's mutating. We are trying very hard to kind of ऐसे दबोच के पकड़ने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं, तो it'll again find a way to mutate itself and come back again. So that's how it will keep coming. It will keep happening. Like that's how it happened for, as ma'am said, that's how it happened for the H1N1 too. And shifts and drifts have been seen in all influenza viruses, what is called as shifts and drifts of those. That is, it's a very common thing that can happen that way. But I would still refrain saying that it is done by someone, not done by someone, because it's not going to change our realities. It is, we have to still face this virus and the consequences that are there as part of complications.
I respect both of your opinions, and I respect your, the way you answered it. My next question to both of you, doctors, please tell us how we can see the medical science and the world after 5 years. Like the virus has changed the whole concept of everything, our economical structure, medical structure, and many things it has changed. So where do you see our medical science going after 5 years, and where do you see we are heading to? Like, what do you think about five years later, down the time? What is going to happen to us? Are you going to suffer more, or we are going to come out with something which can handle this virus?
Ma'am, please go ahead.
After 5 years, it is very
Charu, unmute yourself, please.
after 5 years, it is very difficult to predict what's going to happen. It is very difficult to say what would be the, but yeah, as per the economy part, I would say it will go down. But about the our medical part, medically, we are on this verge of we are on same verge. There is nothing we can do about it. If we are getting vaccination also, we have seen many cases who have got patients who got vaccinated also, after that also they died. There is nothing we can speak about it, that after 5 years what will happen. They predict that 70% herd immunity will, if we get, then we can prevent the infection, then things will get better. But we do not know if after 70% herd immunity also it will things will go improve or not.
Nilay, what do you think about it, Dr. Nilay?
So strictly from this virus point of view, Swamiji?
Yes, virus point of view, my two questions. One is the medical science, where you are heading to. Is there going to be a huge change, huge directional change, shift in the concept and everything in medical field, and about the world, where we are heading to?
I think I feel we have suddenly realized that we are all interdependent. We have suddenly realized that we will need each other more than anyone else. We were living too flamboyant a life, and suddenly we are searching for basic things like oxygen. Like we were brought to that level by something that we cannot even see by naked eyes. So as far as, because it is going to have a lot of implications, yes, as you rightly said, Swamiji, that economic implications are going to be big, huge. The healthcare burden, the burden on healthcare is going to be even huge, like how we saw this time, the second wave, that we were running short of resources. We can safely also say that we may have to face this kind of things. Maybe I may not face it, but we have to be very prepared for this kind of things to happen again. We don't know, because vaccine or no vaccine, because vaccine is, we don't know, because again it can mutate, and again we don't know if the vaccine is going to work or not. So yes, it's a big question, but yes, we can. I'm not in the government, no, I have no say per se, but I can for sure say that GDP allocation can be better as far as government is concerned. Resources can be better as far as our government is concerned. So all these implications, we just have been shown our face in the mirror कि बाबा look, this ऐसा है हमारा healthcare, देखो ऐसा बता दिया है वायरस ने कि भाई सोच लो भाई यही है अपना हाल. Because we were helpless as doctors. All of anyone who's doctor, or even anyone who was just helping people, were helpless to even arrange beds for people, arrange oxygen. So that way we have realized that we are very interdependent, irrespective of which part of country or the world we are in. We can help each other, we can make things work. So we realize that there is something which is not fitting this time. Don't know, it was all apna sab ganit, apna sab equations, all mathematics have just gone for a toss, including कौन कैसे effect होगा, how the trajectory of the patient will be. कभी कभी patient stable बैठा हो, next day will deteriorate and go away. Sometimes gone patients on ventilator will somehow come out. We don't know what's happening. Basically, we still don't know the nature of the virus. That's what it is, my personal opinion. I don't know if Charu ma'am has the
No,
same
sir,
kind of opinion or
same
not.
thing, sir. We are
I
extubated patient. Next day morning, patient is giving his tube himself. Second patient is stable. We are planning that we have to discharge. That patient has expired at night. No,
that
we
patient
do
will
not
go
know
away.
anything.
We are still don't
Nothing is
know. Yeah, so there are young people who are coming in with like myocardial infarctions. There are thrombosis has happened this time a lot in the legs, peripheral arteries. So presentation has changed again. And as far as 5 years are concerned, I think we need to have stronger healthcare system. As far as we as a society is concerned, we need to have uh, financial implications are going to be huge, and we are going to be needing each other more than ever. I feel we are going to be very interdependent this time now,
So do
which
you,
is a
Excuse me,
good thing.
Swamiji.
yeah, sorry.
Yes, I want to do a question that is really often in Argentina. Hello, doctors, for all of you. All the people is asking like really strongly about vaccination here, because we are in this stage. I believe you are too. About which one is more effective, just because they want to hear the answer, because you are talking about it. If the teenagers, you think they should also take that vaccine, if you support the vaccine, and also they want to know, yes, if the vaccine is effective for the new strains that we are dealing with. I know this is a basic question, but people is doing it a lot. Thank you.
I think you should get vaccinated. If you have an opportunity, go ahead with it. You must get vaccinated. You might be, things can be like my personal situation happened. I also got COVID infection, but I was fine after 8 days. On ninth day, I was perfectly fine. I didn't have any more symptoms. Nothing was there. Maybe because of vaccination, but you must get vaccinated. Definitely, for sure.
Because we hear this, that they listen to this crazy story about, like, I'm the one talking about Marvel because I was watching yesterday, but they say that they can insert you some kind of like microchip on the vaccination or something. Have you heard something about it? That we are controlled, or like these theories of conspiration, or not? Such a random question, sorry.
I think even I agree to Charu ma'am. If you are getting an opportunity to get vaccinated, please go ahead without thinking about anything, because there are going to be a lot of things which are going to be for, there are going to be a lot of things which are going to be against, because we don't know what's happening on the bigger levels of things like political and all of that. Don't worry about all of that. If you're getting an opportunity to get vaccinated, just go for it. Go for it. Because we have seen milder forms of disease when, and it is true, like it's not to endorse a particular vaccine or anything. No, there is milder forms of COVID which have come after vaccination. So given an opportunity, I think it's the best thing to do currently. That's the only hope that currently we have. Otherwise, I think we need to build on our resources. That's all. But vaccination, yes.
Okay, so overall, looking at the whole scenario, I am asking both the doctors. I'm concluding the session with that. That 5 advices, if you want to give all of us here, whoever sitting here, 5 advices, keeping everything in the mind, the virus, the economical situation, the health, and all these things. 5 advices which is going to be helpful for us from your perspective, doctors, please.
Go ahead, ma'am. Go ahead. Go ahead, ma'am.
Mask. Main is mask. Do not remove your mask. Kindly just make sure that do not go in the crowded areas, crowded places. Just maintain social distancing. That is the major part. Do not remove your mask in the social gatherings. It is must. That is the major part out of all 5 things. Rest, everything, social distancing. We are saying hand hygiene, everything. But mask is the major part. My one part is or for 5 points. Mask.
Only mask you are saying for
Yeah.
the 5 points.
Mask. Yeah.
Mask is so doctor, I have a question. Mask is it going to protect you from the virus? Because virus is quite, it's so it can enter through any mask on this earth. So how the mask is going to protect you? Even the virus can enter through eyes and through mouth and all the other places wherever their mucus is there.
They are saying that thing, but what we have seen, I have observed it that if you are without mask, then patient is directly coughing on your face, you get infection. If you have mask, at least it prevents 60% of the infection. Virus is very small. We say N95 mask, but I'll say with triple layer mask also we are preventing 60 to 70% of infection. You will not get that much infected. Mask is major. Any mask is there. It's not you need N95 mask or you need any specific thing. Nowadays it is ki double mask is there, but I think single mask is also sufficient.
Sorry, related to this, I'm coming to you, Nila. Related to this,
No problem.
when you use a mask, a lot of carbon dioxide you're inhaling because a certain amount of carbon dioxide going inside your body, even, right? And that dilates your blood vessels. You are thin things, right? Because carbon dioxide, when they increase in your body, the certain things are dilated. Is it good for our body? If I'm wrong, correct me.
With mask, uh, carbon dioxide production, that is not that much. इतना नहीं है. If you have a mask, it will help you out. वो आपको कुछ तो देगा. It is not 100%. वो कुछ भी वो नहीं है. आपके 100% oxygen नहीं hold कर रहा वो. In N95 also, it is 95% of this is the size of the virus, which is as per the size of the virus, the masks are being made. That it is less than 95 micron size, more than 95 micron. It will not cause that more of carbon dioxide will be produced inside. It is just a misnomer thing that inside carbon dioxide is there.
Thank you, Dr. Charu. Nile, I'm coming to you, please. 5 advices.
Yeah, so mask. I agree to that completely. I have not got, God's grace, I have not got COVID thanks to my mask. And being a healthcare professional working in COVID setups and non-COVID setups, sometimes not knowing what patient is coming in the OPD, whether patient is COVID positive, not positive, don't know. So in that kind of setup, mask and that shield, face shield, has also helped me. I realized that even my colleagues who have not got this is because of thanks to the mask, for sure. So mask is definitely on number 1, and it's a vaccination before vaccination. So, and that's the best way to. The mask is 1. Second, I do agree about. I do feel that even hand sanitizer is going to help. Given the opportunity, wherever you find something, just sanitize your hand and do not touch your mucous membranes like eyes or nose, something like that. Don't just touch with the hands, because again, there is a theory, for my theory, not for my theory, we don't know about that, but hand sanitizer, it's a good idea. For third is social distancing, of course. It's very important. And fourth, don't wait for symptoms to go to a very huge extent. Don't say that I had very cold water from fridge last night, and that's why I'm having a fever. Because I've seen many times people justify their fever and their symptoms, and then they end up coming a little late. No, in given current times, if you have fever, suspect COVID, just go to your doctor, just get it checked. It's okay if you come normal. I will feel very okay. We will be very happy if you're normal, like if your tests are negative. But it will be very tough when you go to that stage where you are in the hospital requiring oxygen and BiPAP and stuff like that. You're in an environment. So if some symptoms you feel fever, just call your nearest doctor, your friend. Just make sure that you rule this out, because I have got many people who are just saying no, it's just after repeatedly telling them no, it's likely to be COVID. नहीं ये तो भाई रात को AC चलाया था इसलिए बुखार आ गया.
It's because
No,
of the AC
no.
conditioner, Julia. He is saying it.
हाँ, because of the
sometimes-
AC or
Yeah, continue.
yeah, because of some AC or because of some other reason, they will all say that fever आया है. लेकिन given current times, we don't know we actually don't know how many people we are interacting in a day. You know, sometimes we don't know who's carrying what. And in given current times, now that we are on a downhill now, but there was one time when every next person, we can just say that he's carrying COVID. You know, that was that kind of environment was there. So do not underestimate your symptoms. Do not just say that it's okay, it's just some mild fever. Nothing wrong getting an advice or getting yourself checked. That's what I feel, that we should not and yes, please do take care of your sugars if you're a diabetic, because our chief talk was on fungus. Check your sugars well, and sugars. And yes, this is notoriously thrombotic. This virus is very notoriously thrombotic. Whosoever is your doctor, please ask them if you can take an antiplatelet, if your D-dimer is okay, and if you can take an antithrombotic, anticoagulant, if your D-dimer is more than 500. These are my only 5 takeaways. I think should be a good idea.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
I have one last question about about the vaccine. There are like these two systems. This one of the protein, the messenger ADN of the protein of, I don't know, some laboratories. And then there is another one when they implant the virus itself of the chimpanzee, like AstraZeneca. Which one would be the one that you would recommend, these systems between vaccinations? You know what I mean?
Can I get the names of the
Yes, over here.
vaccines? Names are not clear.
Yes, over here we're having Sputnik that is working with this messenger protein system, and also AstraZeneca. No, AstraZeneca is the other system. And Sinopharm, and ¿cómo es el nombre de la China? The Chinese one. I'll write it.
Sinovit, I believe.
Anyway, the question is, which one is best?
All vaccines are same. Everything is same. There is no difference. Just they were saying that it is a recombinant vaccine. This is dead virus vaccine. It is same. Sputnik one is also good. One of AstraZeneca is good. They are fine. They are perfectly fine. It's nothing like that. I think it would be AstraZeneca vaccine. What they wanted to know. What I feel. This must be AstraZeneca only. I guess so.
No, irrespective of that, again, reiterating, if you're getting a vaccine, take it. Take it.
All vaccines are good.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, doctors. Thank you very much. We are really, really grateful to you both. And thank you, Josefina. Thank you, Julia. And a big thanks to Hemali, our best moderator, and everybody from Argentina, India, and other countries. Thank you so much for joining this. Next Sunday, we are coming with a very interesting session, a very, very interesting session. And I'll inform you tomorrow about the session, right? It's going to be an amazing session.
Hey,
And Nilay, we'd like to have you in every Sunday.
thank you so much, Ji.
That's
Thank
a
you. I'll be
request.
honored. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank
I'll
you so
thank you. I'll
much.
be honored.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr.
Thank you.
Charu. Thanks
Thank
a
you.
lot. Josephina.
Thank you very
Thank you
much,
so
Dr.
much.
Charu. Thank you, Dr. Nilay.
Thanks a
Thank
lot.
you. Bye. Thank you.